The Angkor Wat temple complex must be the world's most astonishing yet mysterious site ever discovered. It's located in Cambodia, roughly 5 miles north of the modern city Siem Reap, and it covers an area of 400 acres, which is around 300 football fields in comparison. It's also surrounded by a moat stretching 1.5 miles long. The site was constructed of over 10 million individually blocks, all precisely cut, some of them weighing up to 1.5 tons each. That means Angkor Wat was made of 4 times as many blocks as the Great Pyramid of Giza. In the 20th century, mainstream research was finally allowed, but what they found was simply mystery on top of mystery. The ancient builders of this site had some kind of an advanced level of architectural understanding. This is what has allowed Angkor Wat to keep standing, possibly for thousands of years. One astonishing example is a moat that surrounds the main complex. Because Angkor Wat was built in the jungle region, the ground swells and shrinks annually during flood and drought season. The moat is cleverly constructed to reduce pressure, pushing outwards from the large number of stones. They also diverted water to change the underground water table and the composition of the earth. Without this, Angkor Wat would have collapsed over time. It floats on a changing foundation, like a floating city, and keeps standing. And as my research suggests, it's been there a long time. According to mainstream history, we are told that Angkor Wat was built by the King Sarameo II of the Khmer Empire as a Hindu temple dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu, the god of preservation, between 1113 and 1115 AD. It served as a spiritual center for the Khmer Empire, but it was abandoned in 1430 due to war. I guess this is where the name comes from. Angkor in Khmer means capital, and Wat means temple. However, the story has great skepticism. How could the Khmer Empire build this huge site in only 31 years? As research suggests, they would have had to cut, transported 1 stone every minute for 37 years. Even by today's technology and all the stuff we have, this is impossible. If the Khmer Empire built Angkor Wat, why is it the only one, by size and design? Surely they would have built other places like this around their empire. We don't see anything like it wherever the Khmer Empire ruled. However, historians and the government said the case is closed. No historical record has been found. Basically, they gave us a story and we have to believe it. In 2012, new research was allowed. The Australian archaeologist Roland Fletcher and Damien Evans used a type of ground laser mapping system called LiDAR to see through the harsh jungle. They mapped the area around Angkor Wat, and what they found was 600 square miles of roads and buildings. It's estimated that 1 million people could have lived there. Not only that, but there was a vast hydraulic water system that managed and dispersed water from 3 separate lakes across the entire urban area, which is stretching hundreds and hundreds of miles. As you can see, Angkor Wat was truly an advanced city of a lost civilization. Angkor Wat was built with astronomical and cosmology knowledge. It was believed to be built to represent the universe and what can be found in ancient Hindu cosmology. This can be found in the ancient Sanskrits, the Veda texts. The texts are estimated to be over 6,000 years old, maybe more, depending on your source of information. One example of this, at the center of the universe in Hindu cosmology, is Mount Meru, represented by Angkor Wat's tallest and central lotus tower, and the moat that surrounds it, which represents the Sea of Life, where all life began. Another amazing fact is the central tower has an external actual dimension of 189 cubits east and 176 cubits north and south. Add these together and you get 365, which is basically a solar year. Adding to this, the central tower has 9 inner chambers with a total diameter of 27 cubic meters, reflecting the moon's orbit, which takes 27 days. In Hindu culture, this is called the lunar mansions, meaning the top of the tower reflects the sun and the inner chambers reflect the moon. This is mostly used in Vedic astrology, the oldest sacred text of Hinduism. Before we move on, another cool fact is that all the buildings in Angkor Wat are perfectly aligned to the 4 cardinal points of the compass, with 100% accuracy. But how was this possible? The first documented use of the compass was in the 12th and 13th centuries, but Angkor Wat was built a long time before this. Another mystery. Now let's look inside Angkor Wat and see what other mysteries we can find. Angkor Wat is covered in ancient carvings, and I mean everywhere. Personally, it took me many hours just to walk around there, and I have not even seen 1% of them. The place, from the bottom to the top, to every small nook and cranny, there is a carving. Many of these carvings are still mystifying to this day. One of them is a carving which are made to represent the Hindu sun god, Surya. Below her are 9 figures to represent the 9 planets, including Pluto. But the problem with this is that we are told that Pluto was discovered in 1930 and can only be seen by the modern-day telescope. Neptune was not discovered until 1846, and Uranus was documented as discovered in 1781. So the more advanced the telescopes are, the more we found. So whoever built Angkor Wat, how did they know all this? An independent researcher, Praveen Mohan, suggests that the answer could be found in another carving, centered around Indra. At the bottom of the carving, you can clearly see a figure holding a telescope. This is also interesting, since the telescope was not invented until 1608. Another carving depicted a person riding a 4-tusked elephant. According to fossil records, these 4-tusked elephants became extinct 2 million years ago. This makes a problem for me. How can a person be riding a 4-tusked elephant if they went extinct 2 million years ago? Something even more interesting in the carvings is a carving of a Stegosaurus dinosaur. They went extinct 155 million years ago. So the more we dig, the more we find, the bigger the mystery. I personally believe that Angkor Wat was built a long time ago. Then it was documented, and the Khmer Empire only discovered and used it. It was built upon an advanced, ancient, lost civilization. I have the same similar belief for Egypt and many other historic sites around the world, where our real history is lost or it is hidden. I think to find answers, we need to go back to the ancient Sumeria and the ancient knowledge that we have forgotten. But we'll look at this in part 2.